Welcome to the Life Coach Lounge. I'm Angela.
I'm Lisa.
And I'm Emily.
This isn't a podcast for coaches. It's for you, for real people navigating real life. It's lighthearted, it's deep, and it's grounded in faith, friendship, and purpose.
And once a month, you can join us in our virtual Life Coach Lounge on Zoom.
So pull up a seat. The Life Coach Lounge is open.
Welcome back to the Life Coach Lounge. Just want to give a virtual hug to all our listeners and viewers today. We're so thankful you're here. Today we're talking about the seasons of life. What have we learned from each season? What season felt the longest? What season are we currently in? And what is the forecast for the next season? But before we get started, I would like to ask our listeners a question. Do you know anyone who could use some extra support right now? Maybe it's someone who is raising a difficult child. Maybe someone is going through a transition in life, such as an empty nest or a major move. Maybe it's a difficult marriage, burnout in their job, or even a traumatic event. All three of us have one-on-one coaching practices, and we love referrals. Thank you for supporting our businesses and for sending your friends and family our way. We appreciate you. Okay, in case you didn't know, Lisa, Emily, and myself all live in states that have 4 distinct seasons. Girls, what is your favorite season in real life? And do you think that matches the season you're in right now? Emily?
Fall has always been my favorite season. There's a lot of nostalgia when it comes to fall. I grew up on a farm, and so as the harvest was happening, coming home from school, getting off the bus, noticing all the activity on the farm, love the colors that change on the trees in the fall. So that's always been my favorite. However, at this stage of my life, I am really embracing spring, the newness, the flowers popping up, the budding of the trees and bushes. We had some rain recently and everything is bright green. So it's a toss-up right now. Fall or spring for me would have to be a tie for my favorite seasons right now. How about you, Lisa?
I'm right there with you with both those seasons. Spring, probably a little more than fall, despite the fact that I live in a state that seems to have like 6 months of winter. Winter is not my favorite season. I always look forward to spring and watching like the rebirth of everything. And it always impresses me every year how it just miraculously just comes to life. Like the dinginess of the salt on the roads and the everything being barren and gray and dirty just comes to life with all the new vibrant green and budding of the trees. So spring is definitely my favorite. And then you asked if that's where I am right now. I would say, yeah, I think I am in my spring season.
I love it. I want to hear more about that. So for me, my favorite season is absolutely summer. Summers in Michigan are amazing. I love warm weather. I would rather be too hot than too cold. I love the easy breezy summer, like just throw on your sandals and go out the door. I'm a sundress girl, so I love wearing sundresses and skirts in the summer. Yeah, summer, I like the warmth on my skin. I like to have a little color on my skin. And summer is definitely by far my favorite season. And I think partly because it's such a short season in Michigan, I just cherish it so much. I am not in a summer season of life right now, probably more like a spring, but I'm trusting that Summer is coming. So, just like spring, summer, fall, and winter, life doesn't stay the same. Each season has a purpose, even the hard ones. Ecclesiastes 3, verse 1 says, "To everything there is a season, a time for every activity under heaven." And I would encourage everyone to actually open your Bible or your Bible app and read Ecclesiastes 3. I wrote down a few of the things that are mentioned in there, but there are so many more that might resonate better for you. And it says there's a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to harvest, a time to grieve and a time to dance, a time to search and a time to quit searching, a time to keep and a time to throw away. Growth doesn't happen when things stay the same. There needs to be sunshine, rain, and dormancy. Creating awareness of what season you are in will reduce resistance and help you to respond from a place of acceptance. Okay, so let's start with spring. So, when we're recording this right now, it is spring, and we are one day away from the beginning of the Tulip Time Festival here in Holland, Michigan. And these girls will tell you my walk and talks in the Marcos are very colorful. In fact, you should see my camera roll. it's, it's crazy colorful right now. I can't help myself. I take pictures all the time of the tulips. So spring brings budding flowers like tulips. Don't you love it in the spring when you start to see that little green growth start to come out of the ground? I just love it. Spring brings longer days. There are some rainy days and open windows with fresh air coming in. But what does spring look like in real life? Spring could be new opportunities, relationships, or healing. Spring is refreshing, beautiful, and exciting. Think flowering trees, green grass, new leaves, and graduation. Spring is active. We have spring sports, planting gardens, spending time outside. But even in the spring, we have rainy days and windy days. We have a lot of windy days in Michigan in the spring, even in the beauty. Emily, can you remember a spring season in your life and what made it feel like springtime?
I do remember spring seasons in my life as I was reflecting on this topic today. And the two seasons that I remember as being spring seasons in my life would have been planning a wedding. So, Andrew and I planning our wedding, planning our future life together just felt like an exciting time of possibility and a new adventure with the person that I wanted to spend my life with. And then the other season was bringing our girls home from public school to homeschool them. So we took them out of public school after first and third grade. And even though it was a new adventure that I really didn't know if I was equipped to do it, we really felt peace that God had asked us to do this thing. And it was exciting. It was exciting for me to embark on that new adventure with my girls. So, yeah, fun to.
How old were your girls when you brought them home?
So, they had just finished first and third grade. So, what would that have been? 7 and 9, maybe?
Okay. Okay. Wow. And Lisa, you said you're kind of in a spring season now. Tell us about that.
Yeah. So in a preparation for today's recording, I kind of took your topic and actually reflected on my entire life in terms of seasons. And so, I mean, I think you're absolutely right. Like, as Emily just pointed out, there can be seasons that pop up throughout your life. And I totally love how you just framed those two special times in your life. And I actually like when I was plotting this out, if you will, for today's recording, my childhood, like my youth, is just, I wrote down revolving seasons because it just felt like when you're young and you're, infancy through middle school, high school, like it's just rapid, constant change, right? So, like the seasons might even feel like they're going super, super quick. But then as I progress to like the present day, yeah, I feel like my season is spring right now. And it has been since like late 2022, 2023. And it's like a newfound self for me. I've had new certifications and I feel like I have new purpose that is just not necessarily changed from who I was, but just evolved into kind of like an emergence. And I just feel like spring can be the most tender season sometimes too, with everything feeling fresh and kind of exposed. And that's how I feel right now. Like it feels kind of vulnerable, honestly. So, yeah. And then you mentioned earlier, Angela, with summer being your favorite, but you too feeling like you were kind of living in a spring season. I wrote that down as well. Like summer is coming. Like I feel it. Summer is on the horizon. So, yeah, that's kind of how I view spring in my current state.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that kind of exposed. So what I was thinking a spring season of my life was when my first pregnancy. Everything was new, exciting. I had great pregnancies. Both of my pregnancies were great. I was healthy and felt good all the time. And so, there's like getting the nursery ready and all the baby showers and bringing home all those cute little clothes and onesies and all the little baby things. And yeah, very exciting, very, expectant. It was a great time, a great time. Definitely felt like spring. Okay, let's talk about summer. So, what I think of when I think of summer is sunshine. I think fruitfulness, lots of fresh produce. I think relaxing. I think it's easy breezy. What does summer look like in real life? Life is going good and it's enjoyable. There are some hot days that require cooling off. You start to believe life is on an upward trajectory. The work you are doing is producing results and producing fruit. So, can you remember a summer season of life? And even in the easy breezy days, did you experience a few scorching hot ones? Who wants to take that?
And that does kind of take me back to that like revolving childhood where, but summer seems to stand out the most to me when I was young because of your air quotes easy breezy. Like you just remember, I mean, especially for my generation. I mean, you see memes everywhere for, all the Gen Xers out there. Like, we were the kids that just got on our banana seat bikes and took off for the entire day. No one knew where we were. It was just easy breezy. Like, were there some quote unquote hot days too where you needed some cooling off? Of course there were,
Yeah.
because there are always, there are always moments when you have to, in childhood, be humbled, if you will. And so maybe you got yourself in the hot seat a few times or something like that. But Emily, how about you? Since you guys both kind of attacked this a little differently than I did, I'm just curious what your summer moment is.
I saw this one as more of a big picture idea as well, the summer season. And what came up for me was childhood, teens, maybe early 20s felt easier compared to after anxiety kind of reared its ugly head in my life and fear started to kind of be the driving emotion. And that came for me personally with more adult responsibility, having kids, raising kids, adult responsibilities, financial stressors, like supporting my husband and his work. So I look back on my childhood and teen years, even not that it was always easy, but it felt more carefree because I wasn't fully aware of what there was to be afraid of, if that makes sense. So then when anxiety and fear showed up in my life, and when it showed up, it came really quick and really hard. It felt like summer was kind of taken from me a little bit. So I'm learning more to embrace summer vibes in my life, not stressing so much, not letting fear drive my life, my thoughts, if that makes sense. I'm trying to put it into words.
It
I didn't
does.
know what challenges were lying ahead when I was young because you don't. And
Yeah.
I mean, I guess I credit that to my upbringing that I was a safe and stable environment to be brought up. I didn't have a lot of fear. But yeah, adulting wanted to try and steal my summer vibes. And I'm at a point now where I'm resisting that. Let's embrace the summer.
Yeah. Oh, that's really good. I did not think about my childhood when I thought about summer. I actually thought about the first few years after we bought our cottage and what launched us into cottage life was a traumatic event. So we were needing respite, we were needing some recovery time, and we would spend summers there with our kids. And so it was literal summers. But it just felt so good. It felt relaxing to be out on the water or to be, on the beach and just literally recovering, resting, enjoying the easy breezy days, making new friends in the community, having campfires, staying up late, watching fireworks. I mean, all the things. It was the first few years were incredible. And even our kids will say those were some of their favorite years, those summers up there. Okay, let's talk about fall. So, first of all, do you say fall or autumn?
I say fall.
You say fall. Okay.
Fall.
All right. Okay. We're on the same page here. Okay. Fall is a season of change. It brings cooler temps, leaves are changing color, new routines like school and Thanksgiving. What does fall look like in real life? You knew this season was coming, but parts of it caught you off guard, like the unexpected rain or cold day. Think retirement, empty nest, kids getting married, a major job or house move, caring for aging parents. How about menopause? You knew it was coming, but kind of took you off guard. With every transition, there is joy, excitement that is also mixed with grief and loss. Harvest time brings abundance and gratitude, like Thanksgiving, while preparing the soil for dormancy. Enjoying the last days with an aging parent, knowing that the end is near. enjoying the last days of a pregnancy, knowing that your life is about to change forever. Emily, can you share a fall season of your life? And do you remember what emotions you experienced during that time?
Absolutely. This has been my last 2 years. So when you said with every transition, there is joy and excitement mixed with grief and loss, that resonates deeply with me. So I mentioned earlier that we homeschooled from the time my girls were second and fourth grade through graduation. And so 2 years ago, my youngest graduated. And a few months later, she went off to a gap year for like 6 months in a different state. So all of a sudden, my role as homeschool mom had come to an end. And like you said, I knew it was coming, but I didn't expect the emotions to hit. And then her leaving and being that far away and not having a lot of communication with her was another just kind of hole in my life. I was used to seeing her all, every day and being a huge part of her life. And then she came back last year and a few months later got married to an amazing man. And then they moved to a neighboring state. Thankfully, she's not as far away as she was during the gap year. However, it has still been a season of so much to celebrate, so much joy and gratitude for how the Lord has provided, and also major grief,
Yeah.
major grief that I did not expect. And during that whole time, also, our other daughter had been going through some pretty intense mental health challenges. We are definitely in a spring season with that. Praise the Lord. We are on the other side of that, and there is so much growth happening. So, fall has been sort of my season, and I've learned to embrace it. It's okay to be happy and sad at the
Yeah.
same time, turns out. Doesn't
Yeah.
have to be either or.
Well said.
I looked at fall again when I kind of surmised my 56 years of life. I looked at my fall season as like so I said childhood was like those revolving seasons. So kind of like early adolescence through like 2005. And well, everything that Emily just said was definitely happening in that very long period of time. When I was taking notes, first of all, Angela, this is a great topic. And if anyone any of the listeners who have not taken the time to kind of reflect on seasons of your life, I highly recommend it. I found it incredibly rewarding and enlightening to just do this self reflection. So, for me, I kind of labeled that time as fall, and then I wrote down that it was a great harvest.
Mm.
It was a period of time of like high school graduation, college graduation, getting married, buying a home, becoming a mother. Like all these things were unfolding. And while, yes, there were so many roller coaster rides happening along all of those, it was so full of beautiful changing colors and abundant that everything was just like coming together as it was meant to be. Kind of like the payoff of growing up. You know what I mean? Like, so that's why in my notes I wrote down like it just felt like a great period of harvesting during those years. How about you, Angela? Tell us about your fall seasons.
The first one that came to my mind was empty nest. Yeah, it was one of those things I knew was coming. I mean, there were even days I prayed it would come sooner. But then all of a sudden, it really sidewhacked me. I mean, I kind of had an identity crisis, honestly. I was always, mother of five. That's what I did, that's who I was. And it felt like overnight, all of a sudden, there I was sitting home by myself. Jim still works full time. So there were, suddenly very lonely days. I had to find my own routine. Yeah, I can relate to the, going back to school and, starting that fall schedule, that's new every fall when you have kids home. I had to find a new routine for myself. And I have done that now. I've gotten used to a quiet house. I actually enjoy it now. So, but the first year it definitely caught me off guard for sure.
Even when we know things are coming, especially when you know it's coming, but you've never done it before,
Yeah.
it still can seem a little like, oh, okay, I'm in it now.
Yeah. So let's talk about winter. Winter,
Wah, wah.
I know, right? Winter is barren. It's dark. It's quiet. It's cold. It's sometimes cozy. It feels long. In Michigan, it is long. What does winter look like in real life? Winter is a season of waiting. There is hope in seasons of waiting because, oh yeah, spring is coming. Roots are still growing even when there are no signs of life. So I went to Dr. Chat and typed in what is happening to plants when they are in a dormant state. And this is what came up. Plants enter a state of suspended growth. I love that. To survive harsh conditions, slowing their metabolism and conserving energy. While they appear dead above ground, they focus energy below ground to develop roots and store carbohydrates. Plants also develop antifreeze, in quotes, to protect their cells from bursting and prepare for spring growth. So my husband calls this turtling in. Like whenever we have family members or friends who kind of go quiet, he's like, I think they're turtling in. We might want to reach out. So grief brings deep sadness. It feels like winter and it feels like it will never end. Burnout brings a need for escape. How many of us want to go to Florida or Mexico in the winter and get out of the cold? Maybe a vacation sounds good in the winter. A difficult diagnosis can bring fear, isolation, and loneliness. But we can enjoy the cozy moments during the blizzards of life. Girls, can you share about a winter season of your life? Did you embrace it or feel the need to escape? Did you have growth in your spiritual life during this season?
Well, let's be honest. The three of us live in states where winter is long
Very
and
long.
cold and dark. So I don't know that any of us in the moment think about embracing it.
Right.
However, over my life, as I reflect upon winter seasons, which included, seasonal affective disorder, where literally the winter and the darkness caused depression in me, a health crash that I experienced in my own body and in my own life, and then my daughter's recent struggle with a mental health condition. So those winter seasons definitely felt dark and lonely and quiet and cold and long, a season of waiting, absolutely. However, looking back, I can resonate with what you shared about the dormancy in plants. My roots, my spiritual roots, grew so deep because I learned to depend on the Lord more than I had ever depended on him before. I had no one else to turn to, nothing else to turn to. In that season of waiting, I had to intentionally hold on to hope and hold on to the belief that he was working. even if I couldn't see it. So, and he did. I look back and I see how he used those seasons of winter to grow me, to grow my faith. And when you were describing winter, I realized it takes intention for us to embrace not only the weather season of winter, it takes intention for us to embrace it. Light some candles, turn on the cozy, soft lamps instead of the overhead light, cuddle up with a book and some hot cocoa or some tea, like cozy in. If you intentionally do that, winter can be really beautiful.
Yeah.
And so that's what I've learned. It takes intention to embrace whatever season we're in and just trust that God is growing us through it.
It's interesting that all three of us, because yes, we've all mentioned that we all live in states that have seemingly the longest winter ever.
Ever.
And yet, all three of us chose to focus on that seeds go into the they go into the frozen ground. Plants go into the frozen ground, and it looks like absolutely nothing is happening, but there's something always happening. So I think it's beautiful that all of us, even in our winter seasons, found hope in knowing that just because, of course, there's a huge contrast between, moving from the fullness of fall into the contrast of winter, and it just makes things seemingly a little more jarring. But we focused on knowing that even underneath it all, something is happening. And when you were just talking about the cozy feelings, have you guys like embraced or heard of hygge? Like embracing that cozy feeling, intentionally embracing it. And for me, my winter, it was long. It was a long, like from like 2005 to, like I said, I just entered my spring season. And there was a lot of grief happening there. I lost both my parents during that season, had a rare diagnosis during that season. Like all the things you were listing, Angela, I'm like, oh my gosh, she's describing my winter season. Like if this was the Webster's Dictionary, Lisa's name and little picture would be sitting right there. My career came to an end suddenly. Like there was so much grief happening. And at the same time, because both can be true, it started with the birth of my second child. Like, so, like, you can hold both. And so,
Yeah.
winter doesn't have to just be long and miserable, even though the three of us are joking about how long it is seemingly in real life, because you can hold both the beauty of the birth of a child as well as the loss of some major things in life.
Yeah.
But I'm glad I'm in spring now.
Ah.
And there's absolutely nothing wrong with a warm weather vacation or 5 during the 6 months of winter. The older we
Yes.
get, the more we realize that really needs to be a priority. Going and getting
Yes.
some sunshine in a warm state while the sunshine and warmth is lacking in your own state. Absolutely
Exactly.
nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. Yeah. My winter season, I mean, I've had several, but one that I thought of was I had years of infertility, Jim and I did. And it's one of those, infertility is such a roller coaster of, your hopes go up and then they go down and then they go up and then they go down. And you don't know that spring is coming. You don't know if it will ever happen. And so there is just faith that you're holding on to. And so it was, yes, very hard. Lots of tears, lots of longing, aching for a child, but also that deep inner growth of connection to God, pulling scripture out to stand on every day. So, looking back, we kind of look at our past with those rose-colored glasses on. I can look back and say that I'm grateful for that time. And it made the spring season of my pregnancy all the sweeter. Okay, so we have a few practical takeaways for our listeners. Number 1, identify your current season. Number 2, ask yourself, where am I resisting what I cannot change? And what do I need to accept about the season I'm in? Number 3, don't compare your winter with someone else's summer. And number 4, live in gratitude. Whether it's a cozy fire in the winter, cold lemonade on a hot summer day, beautiful trees in the fall, or tulips in the spring, we always have something to be grateful for in every season of life. I hope this conversation blessed everyone today. Please remember to hit the subscribe button and like this video on YouTube. And while you're there, check out our new thumbnails. We have new thumbnails on our videos. They are so awesome. Join our private Facebook group where we connect on Zoom once per month. Follow us on Instagram. And if you find yourself in a blizzard season of life, reach out. Coaching will help to shift you into that spring season. We'll be back next Tuesday with a new episode. And Lisa and Emily, I'll see you later in the Marcos.